This is stupid. Rose, Pester, Dave. Rose says, Strider, I need you to do me a favor. Can you take a capture in my bedroom and send me the file for no reason in particular? And then she says, he's not answering. I already read this. Rose, prepare for nap. You bundle up your knittings into a cozy nest. You aren't all that tired, though. It's hard to imagine falling asleep without the luxury of Harley's narcolepsy. Future dream Rose cease to exist. Sound. Dave Sprite Troll. A color I'll remember when I see it. Teal. He says, don't talk to John anymore. He's an impressionable doofus. Your plan didn't work. I mean, it did, but then suddenly it didn't. So you might as well quit trying. And she says, you smell like orange creamsicles. And he says, what? You're aliens. You're aliens. Do you even have orange creamsicles? And she says, of course. What kind of awful civilization wouldn't invent orange creamsicles? Not anyone I'd want anything to do with. And he says, okay, pretty far-fetched, but whatever. No more hijinks from you, because I'll make sure they don't work. And she says, well, obviously I knew it wasn't going to work. My friends have been talking to John from the future. Your future. Where he's not dead. So there was no way what I did was going to kill him. I just wanted to mess with him and stuff. And he says, I don't think you're following. You did kill him, sort of. Then I went back in time to stop him. And she says, yeah, I guess there was a chance something like that might happen. And he says, alright, but did you guess that by trolling John to his grave and making me splinter us off into an alternate timeline, that you were basically complicit in making our timeline go the way it was supposed to go all along, where future me is now helping Dave, and we just keep playing, and our actions ultimately lead to the trouble you're all in now, thus leading you all to troll us incompetently. And she says, oh, no, angry frowny face, I didn't think of that. And he says, yeah, see, none of you ever thinks anything through. Who's in charge of timeline management here? I gotta give him the business. And she says she doesn't want to talk to any of you and has misgivings about this whole thing. Not all of us are that enthusiastic about trolling you guys, and the ones who are sort of suck at it, angry eyebrows flat mouth. And he says, well, at least you got John to off himself, so I guess you're not totally incompetent like the others, like that awful rapper. And she says, so John actually did what I said? And he says, yeah, I'm telling you, huge pushover. He will do what you say, unless it happens to be for his own good. Then all of a sudden he's a tough nut to crack, go figure. And she says, now I feel kind of bad. Are you sure I can't talk to him, even if it's just to apologize? Would that be okay with you, Sir Brave Knight? Angry eyebrows question mark mouth. He says, yeah, that's fine, I guess. No more coy bullcrap antics, though. Not even like an idiotic angry winking emote. Or what? You're gonna hunt me down through time? Oh no, angry eyebrows, winky smiley face. And he says, yeah. And she says, you do realize I'm way higher on my etch ladder than you, even if you are from the future. Are you sure you want to get your clock cleaned by a blind chick? And he says, okay, even if that's true, I just merged with an impaled orange gosh dang bird, and now I got all these crazy powers. And she says, ugh, self-prototyping, so dumb. This is why you all screw up so bad, always bending the rules like that. Oh well, can't stop you now, so might as well drop it. Hey Dave. And he says, what? And she says, I've been researching some of your Earth soap operas. Is this you? He says, oh gosh, frick no. Clarification, Gigas. Why would that breathtaking douche remind you of me at all? And she says, but he has a fiery personality, sort of brash and impetuous, and in your face, like fire itself. Angry eyebrows, happy mouth. He says, now I know you're bullcrapping me. Do I seem like the kind of guy who'd accept a magic ring from Whoopi Goldberg to awaken some egregious homo fantasy for a ripped blue dude's mammoth eco-friendly bulge? That guy was a butthole and needs to be sealed in a duffel bag and whipped something ungodly with a bamboo shoot. And she says, who's Whoopi Goldberg? And Dave says, who cares? And she says, okay, I made some modifications. This is so you, Dave. Come on, admit it. Oh, she almost got it. He says, ha 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 ha. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much freaking spot on. You're actually a pretty good troll. As long as you don't bug John, I guess that's all there is to say on the matter. And she says, thanks, Dave. To be fair, I'm sure every one of us wishes we thought of future self-prototyping first. So, you're not really all that terrible. Angry eyebrow, winky face, smiley face. Dave, Sprite, chill with Dave. Dave says, who are you talking to? And Sprite says, just telling a troll to step off. And Dave says, okay, cool. So now that you're a Sprite, do you know everything about the game? And the Sprite says, well, I know a lot anyway, because I'm from the future. But yeah, I know more stuff now, like things meant specifically for Sprites to clue players in on, but packaged in like these, I guess, riddles. I'm supposed to be cagey about it, but I don't really feel like it. Ask me anything, go ahead, I'll give you a straight answer. And Dave says, alright, here goes. Why are we so freaking awesome? And the Sprite says, that's the best freaking question anybody ever asked. And Dave says, yeah. So is everything cool with John, with this John business? Is he gonna be okay? And the Sprite says, that's up to him. If he decides to wise up and listen to us. If not, then we just bail everyone out yet again. And Dave says, okay. And Sprite says, all that gear you picked up should let you breeze through the first couple gates, even at a low level. Later you'll unlock the ability to bring your Sprite down with you, and we'll take care of crap together. Till then, I guess I just mess around and let Jade build up or whatever. I'll go kill some time, maybe draw some comics. And Dave says, like what? And Sprite says, I don't know, what's the last one you did? And Dave says, I was in the middle of the Nacho Party arc. And Sprite says, oh yeah, I gave up on that about halfway through. And Dave says, yeah, that was sort of the plan. Making a 10-part story about nachos was always a bullcrap idea. And Sprite says, let's do some brainstorming later. Blow everyone's minds. And Dave says, yeah, sure. Bump. Meanwhile, hundreds of pages ago, you open the package. There's something suspicious inside. Something suspiciously dirty and smelly. It's a stuffed bunny. There's the one held hostage. Oh, it really is? Okay. Briefly by Malkovich Cyrus's The Virus, while taunting hard-luck protagonist Cameron Poe. It's strikingly similar to the one that was scooped up in soot from the burning Vegas Strip by Cage's Poe and offered to his daughter, a gesture of symbolic of a tattered exterior surrounding a heart of gold. Poe wasn't much to look at, indeed, but he was a good man. And no, it's not merely like that bunny, it's the same bunny, it's so awesome. And there's a note from Dave. So hey, since it's your B-Day, I had to get back for the sick memorabilia you got me, so I got you this gosh awful thing. And I know you're standing there flipping your crap over it, so you're welcome. It's the actual gross bunny in the movie, so that means Nick Cage actually grubbed it up with his clownish, no-talent fingers. I would suggest you put it somewhere and display it, ironically, but I know you're dead serious about this ridiculous crap, so you probably sleep with the dang thing and nibble its ear and stuff. But the weird thing is, that's what's cool about you. You're this naive guy, like Pinocchio tumbled butt backwards off the turnip truck and started liking Ghostbusters. Then the fairy godmother kissed your nose or some crap, and you turned out to be not made of wood and also pretty cool to talk to. One day, your gooberish ways are gonna land you in a jam, and I know I'm gonna have to get you off the hook, but it's cool. I got your back, bro. Then we'll meet and hug bump each other. Filthy wife beaters that will and get each other's filthy wife beaters that much filthier. So yeah, peace, dog. Dave. Oh, oh my gosh. Reconsider. John, get pestered by Dave. Dave says, did you blast off like a spazzy douche yet or what? And John says, yeah, of course. There was no way I wasn't trying out this sweet ride. And Dave says, gosh dang it, what do I have to do to make you believe me? Fist bump my future self till I've got bloody knuckles and write you an even sappier B-Day note in my own blood on a Back to the Future poster? John says, relax, I'm not going through the gate. I'm just flying around, having a good time in the sky. And Dave says, oh, okay. So you believe me then? About future me? And like, him turning into a floating sword bird. And John says, okay, I don't know about that. But it doesn't matter. You're my best bro. And if you say not to go, then I won't go. Hey, can you hold on? I'm getting trolled again. And Dave says, oh man, if we've just concluded anything, it's that talking to those D-bags should be priority number one, so yeah, go ahead. And John says, okay, BRB. John gets rolled by Gray, who says, I keep scrolling backwards through your adventure, trying to piece together how you botched this up so badly, and I keep finding these striking pockets of foolishness, like what you're doing now, riding your little red rocket, like you're a freshly hatched human larva, and this is all just a big school hive rumpus respite. And John says, humans aren't hatched as larvae, dummy. We don't hatch at all. We are born like these little pink monkeys called babies. And Gray says, bullcrap. That's not what you just told me. And John says, what did I say? And Gray says, I'll paste what you said. And John says, I thought you didn't like going down that road, copy-pasting future/past conversations. And Gray says, why would I have a problem with that? And John says, I don't know, that's what you told me. And Gray says, whatever, look. And then he posts John saying, this is really weird. And he says, what's so weird about it? And John says, well, normally humans hatch from like these slimy pods, and we wriggle out as little pink larvae. And Gray says, oh really? Huh, maybe we have more in common than I thought. And then current John says, ha 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 ha, I was punking you, dude. Or at least I will be in our next conversation. Thanks for the great prank idea. And Gray says, argh, why would you trick me about that? What is even the point? And John says, I don't know, it was just a friendly prank. Don't you ever play pranks? I mean, of course you do. One of you just tried to prank me good. And Gray says, what? Who? And John says, pfft, you'll find out. And Gray says, well, fine. I guess you got me back, sort of, for my trolling, even though you haven't even read my worst trolling efforts yet, because they happen in your future. And even then you didn't even mind much, almost like you were delighted to hear it. Kind of perverse, really. What's wrong with you? And John says, well, we're friends by then, aren't we? Or sort of like reverse anti-mutual friends? And Gray says, what the heck does that even mean? And John says, look, you're going to have to face it at some point, that you're learning the meaning of this human emotion called friendship. And Gray says, is friendship really an emotion? And John says, yes, absolutely. And Gray says, I guess it's hard to see how we become friends. This is so frustrating. Every time I go further back in your past and talk to you, you say some stuff that pertains to my immediate future. And then you won't explain to me what's going on because it's already old news for you. And John says, dude, you've been doing the exact same thing. And Gray says, I've done no such thing. I've been exceptionally informative and helpful. Just if justifiably acrimonious, whatever that means. John says, you never answered my questions, though. How am I supposed to know what's going on, or what you're alluding to? And Gray says, this game is kind of a game of a million guides. Everywhere you turn, there's another way to figure out what's going on. So please, go secrete me in Earth River through your strange human tear ducts. You've got sprites, exiles, guardians, consorts, time-hopping future selves, mystical dream oracle doppelgangers. If that wasn't enough, your particular group of players is lucky enough to have us to give you the scoop on stuff, through sort of a subversion of the whole dang thing. Even though we hate you, and even though the fact that we hate you is an immutable fact, as unalterable as this writhing, knotted hell of a timeline choking us all to death. It does not mean we have any reason to withhold any information from you, or dish it out through crypto-baffling mind-fuddlery. So go ahead, ask me anything. And John says, okay, what's the point of the game? And Gray says, ask me something else. Already told you that. It was this whole big conversation we had. And John says, ugh, fine. Where are you now? And Gray says, in the medium, a separate session from yours. And John says, no, I know that. You already told me. And Gray says, I did? And John says, yes, in your future. And Gray says, dang it. And John says, what I mean is, are you in your house right now, or in one of your magical lands, or what? Just curious, because you can see me, but I can't see or know anything about you. And Gray says, we're hiding in the veil, what's left of it. And John says, what's that? And Gray says, it's a huge belt of meteors orbiting way outside Skya, beyond the orbit of the planets, dividing the medium from the furthest ring, where Durs orbits. And John says, Durs? And Gray says, the dark planet. Prospit's the light one near Skya. And John says, well, geez, how am I supposed to know any of this? And Gray says, you'd probably find out sooner or later from your dumb grandma. But by fusing with the sprite, she has to withhold stuff and be mysterious and all. Make your adventure seem more magical. It's infuriating. And John says, okay, so the veil is a bunch of meteors. What do you mean, what's left of it? And Gray says, okay, there comes a time when black inevitably beats white on the battlefield in the center of Skya. The White King is captured or killed or something. That's when the reckoning starts. And John says, okay. And Gray says, the rulers of Durs, the Black King and Queen, get the power to send the veil towards Skya to destroy it. That kind of starts your big countdown when crap gets serious. And John says, so then it's up to us to save it? And Gray says, yeah, you have that long to kill the Black Queen and King. And Skya itself sort of buys you some time by activating its defense portals to catch some of the meteors. The threat gets bigger the longer you take, though. Smaller meteors come first, and then they get progressively bigger and bigger, and there's only so much of them Skya can absorb for you. John says, okay, it sounds like we got plenty of time before that happens, right? And Gray says, that's just it. You don't. Ordinarily you would, but your reckoning starts much sooner because of some of the dumb things you've already done. You completely blew it already, and you have no chance of winning anymore, which ordinarily would be fine. Just another bunch of losers that fail at this game. It's what you do later that causes so much more trouble than that. And now we have to deal with it too. And John says, oh no, what is it? And Gray says, I already told you. It's inevitable and completely pointless to talk about anyway. And John says, yeah, well, maybe you're wrong. Maybe there's something we can do to stop it, if you just help us. And Gray says, I'm not wrong. It's all right here in front of me. You frick up royally. End of story. And John says, okay, we'll see about that, Mr. Sourbulge. Hey, aren't you kind of uncomfortable sitting on a meteor? Are you all huddled in a crater or something? And Gray says, no, there's all kinds of crazy crap in the veil. A lot of these meteors are kind of like big seeds. And John says, seeds? Well, what kind of crazy crap is there? And Gray says, stuff like buildings, facilities, like labs and stuff. And John says, weird. And Gray says, yeah, the veil is kind of like neutral ground for the kingdoms, like our planets. Some places are used to genetically engineer soldiers and agents for the two sides, using genetic material from the exotic menagerie of chess pieces on the battlefield to help fuel their war and keep raising the stakes. John says, wow, I don't think I'm following this. And Gray says, yeah, no crap. But you'll find out when you get there, since you were in the veil when we last talked. Anyway, that's more than enough info for you to think about, and be less stupid in time for conversations we've already had. I'm out of here. And John says, okay, but wait, can you give a message to Teal for me? Tell her nice try. Shoosh. And Gray says, what? Why would I give her a message for you? Do it yourself. I'm not a relay service. And John says, oh, well, I thought you'd be cool with it since last time you asked me to give her a message for you last time. But whatever. And he says, I find that highly implausible. I'm not falling for any more of your human pranks. Nice try, John. Ha 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 ha. And then he left. Sound, Jack, ascend. There's meow 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 meow. Locate fourth. Oh, so it is. End of year 1. Are you done? You can't just show the back arrow and keep going. Bro. Locate fourth wall. Activate. Ah. Andrew, engage in highly indulgent self-insertion into story. What? Oh, heck no. This is always such a terrible idea. Leave me alone. Andrew, examine wall. I really wish your side of the wall had an off switch. Which is to say, I really wish my side of the wall had an off switch. Andrew, forget it. Go back to work. Okay, you're just gonna ask me to recap Homestuck though. I don't know why you'd want to sit there and watch me type. This is gonna be pretty long. Recap first year. Which we do not need, thank good gosh. Oof. And then I started watching me type. In this ridiculous study, I photoshopped for myself with my cool horse painting propped up in the background. Oh. Andrew, I didn't read any of that. Do something less boring. And he tells you, the reader, to be quiet. Andrew, retrieve arm from background. Huh? Oh, Cal, please, not now. Andrew, why don't you keep drawing Homestuck or something? Oh, but I don't merely draw Homestuck. Type Next arrow, I'm about to make a joke. Okay, next arrow. I conjure this intrepid fantasy-scape with tears bled from the wisdom-weary eyes of 50,000 imaginary magicians. I pull heavy drags from the brooms of inspiration with enchanted bellows marauded from a guild of churlish mythical dwarves. Vast, bulbous riddle spiders push the silken strands of pure whimsy through hideous abdominal spinnerets, and it is that which I weave, this audacious cocoon of exquisite lies. And when it hatches, a great moth of titillation will awaken and roar and beat its wings, and the powder settling down will arrest the humors of an enormous, terrible old beggar, relaxing the vulturous, leathery vice grip he's fixed around your captive mind. Andrew, this is stupid. Stop being a wise butt and get drawing. Alright, it won't be that exciting to watch though. And pull up Photoshop again. Here's the file I was using for the fourth wall. What do you want me to draw? Andrew, can you show us what's going on with John again? Sure. How about if I drag the content from one of the John files under the fourth wall layer so we can make a more graceful transition out of this ludicrous, highly disruptive self-insertion arc? Andrew, that sounds like a good idea. Oh, and then you can type something like switch walls view to show us what's going on with John. Here, I'll prepare the GIF file for that. It'll just take a few seconds. Go ahead, say that. Switch walls view to show us what's going on with John. You decide that's entirely enough of that. If this website becomes any more self-aware in a playfully self-depreciating, yet weirdly self-aggrandizing manner, you're going to go drown a bag of puppies in a sewer. John answered Teal. She sent him the file. Lois map? I don't know what else that was supposed to be. He says, what's this? And she says, it's your world map with your second gate labeled, so you can go there. And John says, oh man, let me drop everything to go there because I'm in such a huge hurry to take more of your advice. And she says, John, please, give me one of your human breaks. I feel awful about killing you, even though technically you never even died, so I don't know what you're whining about, angry eyebrows, frowny face. And he says, yeah, well, Dave said I did, and I believe him. And she says, that's because he and you are best pupa pals for life. Can't I be your pal too, John? And he says, I don't know, I thought you were okay for a while, and now you're kind of giving me the creeps. And she says, Jigus, John. And he says, what? And she says, I am invoking the name of your Earth Jigus to express frustration. And he says, you mean my Earth Jesus? And she says, I don't know, do I? And he says, do you have a troll Jigus? And she says, John, we have the best troll Jigus. You don't even know. And he says, wow, really? Or is this a joke? And she says, it's a joke. I'm not really sure what a Jigus is? Angry eyebrows, question mark mouth. And he says, well, neither do I guess. It's pretty much not anything. And she says, John, will you please follow the map? Let me earn your trust. If you don't like what's on the other side of the gate, you can just turn around. And he says, okay, I'll take a look. John, open map. Okay, she meant Lois. Dang. Where's the gate at? Okay, guess I'll die. John, proceed to the second gate. John, enter. You spend the next 20 minutes staring at this image before you realize it's not a flash file, and ha ha ha, I caught it this time. I read first, loser. Hi, darling. Phew. What? You didn't even bring me anything. John, get up. Despite the pandemonium of your entrance, Rose is still sound asleep. She must be really tuckered out. It looks like this little guy is awake and ready for action, though. He is adorable. You decide to name him Dr. Meowgon Spengler. John, answer Dave. It's the sprite, Dave, who says, wow, okay, you're a little early, but that's fine, I guess. Also, you suck at rockets. And John says, ah. And he says, what? And John says, she tricked me again. And Dave says, who? And John says, Teal. She told me how to get to the second gate. So I went through, but it took me to Rose's house instead. Another prank. And the sprite says, dude, you did go through the second gate. I mean, I don't know why you would listen to her again. Kind of moronic, but that's a whole other issue. She didn't trick you this time. And John says, oh, then I don't really get this. And the sprite says, well, what were you expecting? This is how it works. The progression of gates like this is like this whole round-robin thing, cycling through each planet. Gate 2 on your planet leads to Gate 2 on Rose's, and then you build up to Gate 3 above her house, which leads somewhere else on her planet. You look for Gate 4 somewhere there, which leads to Gate 4 above my house, and so on. And John says, wow, okay. And Sprite says, ordinarily, Rose would have already gone through her Gate 1, but she's sleeping pretty hard, obviously. And ordinarily, you wouldn't have gone through Gate 2 until her house was built up, so you wouldn't fall to your death. But you got your cheat rocket, so that's fine. See, we all gotta coordinate on this thing. And John says, okay, how do you know all this? And Sprite says, frick, come on, dude. And John says, oh yeah, you're the orange Dave. Hey, no offense, but do you think I could talk to the real Dave for a second? And Sprite says, gosh dang it, I am the real Dave. You know, the one who saved your life. I'm more real, actually, because I've been through some heavy crap already, hopping around on red-hot gears and I-beams for like a year, and grinding crap out for your ungrateful butt. Here, look, check out this code from the future, not that you deserve it, WLIN189Q. You're freaking welcome. And John says, wow, calm down. I'm sorry, that's not really what I meant. I mean, of course you're the real Dave, but what I mean is, the Dave from my time is also my friend, and I guess he's in the same boat I'm in, not knowing stuff and all. And I feel bad keeping out of the loop. And Dave began pestering John, and he says, yo. And John says, oh, hey, I think I pissed off your future self. And Dave says, what did you do? And John says, I said he wasn't the real Dave. And Dave says, ah ha 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 ha. And John says, I think I might have really hurt his feelings though. And Dave says, don't worry about it. And John says, why not? And Dave says, because I wouldn't give a crap, and he's me. John says, okay. I'm in Rose's room, by the way. And Dave says, what? Really? And John says, yeah, but she's asleep. And Dave says, okay, don't go anywhere. I'm coming down to the computer. And John says, okay. And then the sprite says, Dave is here. He wants to use the computer, probably to help you scope out Rose's room and snoop and stuff. I mean, that's what I would have done if you were alive. So I'm gonna go use these flappy ghost wings and tear crap up in space or something. And John says, sure. Hey, Dave. And the sprite says, what? And John says, in case I forgot to say so before, thanks for saving my life. And the sprite says, yeah, and then left. John, Snoop. Dave says, okay, I don't know what you're doing here, but I think we can both agree that you've got to rummage through as much of her crap as possible before she wakes up. And John says, man, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't really like the idea of capering around her room while she's asleep. It feels weird. I'm gonna wake her up. And Dave says, dude, no, come on. She's out like a light anyway. It was some, like, weird future thing that happened that made her sleep. And John says, a future thing? And Dave says, yeah, crap doesn't get more clear than that. And John says, well, yeah, she won't wake up. So I guess so. But I'm not snooping. And Dave says, fine, don't. But here, just do one thing. See those two notebooks on the floor behind you? And John says, yeah, they look sort of like journals. I don't think I should read those. And Dave says, you don't have to read them. I'm not telling you to. What kind of prying tool do you take me for? Just pick them up. You know, like tidy up a bit since you made a royal freaking dump of her room just now. And John says, okay. John, pick up books. Dave says, now I need you to do something else. This is important. Like important for game reasons and stuff. Take the card the books are on. Flip it over. And John says, And Dave says, so you can see the code. And John says, wait a minute, I see what you're trying to do. I won't tell you the code for Rose's books. And John says, dude, you don't have to tell me the code. Just flip it over and let me know if there's a code, and that's all. And John says, okay, I guess. Yeah, there's a code. And Dave says, alright, cool. You can ditch the books now if you want. Maybe put them back on the floor so Rose doesn't think you were snooping. Seriously, you've got some grubby fingers, bro. Why don't you mind your own business there? What is even with you? And John says, ha ha, Dave. I think all this laughing made me poop in my pants too hard. And Dave says, isn't that your birthday package there? And John says, oh yeah, I think it might be. And Dave says, maybe you should look at it. I don't think that counts as snooping since it's technically yours. And John says, yeah, maybe. I wonder if she's finished. She was so tight-lipped about the dang thing. I'm really curious. Dave, zoom in. Yarn bonk. How did he draw those artifacts like that? John, check Rose's bookshelf. You eye your birthday package again curiously. It's awful tempting to peek inside, but you feel guilty about it for some reason, even though it's yours anyway. You suppose a perusal of her bookshelf would be harmless, though. She's a bunch of books. The knowledge within is meant for everybody. Dave pesters you with the message, but you decide not to bother dignifying with a whole Pesterlog ordeal because it's probably just him being a truculent jerkwad again, so screw him. John, look at a book. This Ocean Charles, the big man, has the answers. You find a book of beautiful poetry and groundbreaking philosophical thinking by American sports legend Charles Barkley. These are words to cherish. This is a man to treasure. John, take book. You capture-log Rose's autographed copy of This Ocean Charles. Jewels of wisdom like this don't just fall into your lap every day, and shouldn't be parted with lightly. You doubt she'll mind if you borrow your book, her book. She's always trying to get you to read her weird books anyway. John, oh, just open the package already. You can't take it anymore. You're gonna see what's inside. John. John, I never got to thank you properly for your gift. Yes, the words were there, language comprising the familiar veneer of gratitude rubbing off with each tired favor traded for. A God bless to a sneeze, or a few pennies cradled in a receipt. Perhaps it's the deplorable romantic in me, but I thought your present, and your friendship, demanded reciprocation surpassing, by some degree, the utterly meaningless. The proper thanks, I thought, would be a demonstration that your offering was not in vain. Yes, maybe some would take your suggested alternative to my gloomy preoccupations as a passive-aggressive jab, but I know you didn't mean it that way. In fact, I'm sure reading about it now is the first time the notion has occurred to you. John, please stop rolling your eyes. The letter is down here. The gift in this box is a resurrection. I used your present to thread life anew into a tattered heirloom. As long as I can remember, its black, greasy appendages have been tethered limply to its ratty, porous carriage. Too delicate to wash, too dear to discard. I used to love this rabbit. Now he's yours. I trust you'll find this to be adequately sentimental. Happy birthday, Rose. John put the bunny back in the box. Chaos Dunk. The gift from Rose is so cool. 2 sweet bunnies in one birthday? What are the odds? In a fit of enthusiasm, you shut up and jam the bunny back in the box, executing a textbook chaos dump. Hello, child. Millions would have perished if everything in the ocean wasn't dead already, that is. John, take box. You gently turn the light on. Chaos dunk the fragile bunny back in the box and capture-log it. It is such a nice present. You'll have to write Rose a thank you note and tuck it under her hairband or something. Wait, no, that would probably be creepy. The bunny reminds you that you still have a salamander in your Skillodex. She's holding the bunny Dave got you. It's sort of uncanny how similar they are, aside from the knitted enhancements. Seriously, what are the odds? So weird. John, deploy beloved daughter. You release dear, precious Casey. She was probably getting antsy in that card. You think you'll leave her here with Rose. A dangerous quest is nothing to embark on without a sweet, innocent little girl stashed in your inventory. You aren't actually sure if she's a girl, though. You don't even know if salamanders can be girls. Aren't they intersex or something? You don't know anything about biology, unless it's biology that has to do with ghosts and slime. But even then, you don't actually know anything. You just sort of like to pretend you do. Looks like a troll is bugging Rose. John, answer troll. It's Green. Green says, I'm supposed to antagonize a few members of your trivial species. I have to start somewhere, and some win, so I'm starting with you. And now. It's going to be pointless and unpleasant, mostly for me. Actually, you know what? I'm not really feeling this at all. Goodbye. And John says, as Rose, she's not here right now, she's asleep, but okay, see you. And Green says, is this your human sarcasm that I've always heard about? That you always use? That is basically a terrible way to communicate? And John says, no. And Green says, I thought that was the thing you did. The rose human, specifically. And John says, oh yeah, that's me. I'm the rose human. Look at me. I'm so smart with all these snooty words and complicated things to say. I am the queen of books. And Green says, okay, these are definitely insincere statements. Why do you work so hard at being so awful? And John says, ugh, I'm so burned. These burns are crazy. Can we just cut to the chase and be friends already? These cat and mouse games are so dumb. You know we're just gonna all be friends at some point anyway. And Green says, have we spoken before? And John says, I don't know, maybe? It's hard to keep track with all your time nonsense. And Green says, now that I think about it, it is pretty conceivable that I will talk to you again in the past after this conversation. And John says, that's because you guys always do things the hard way, and the dumb way. And Green says, I should figure out how the viewport feature of this application works, so I can see what such a primitive creature looks like. And John says, haha, well, I know what you guys look like. You kind of look like Howie Mandel from Little Monsters. Even though, to be perfectly frank, he was kind of a big monster, because he was a big goofy adult, and Fred Savage was like his child prankster sidekick. Green says, is this an adversary you have encountered on your quest? And John says, no, it's a movie. You should ask John about it because he thinks it's awesome, which it is. And Green says, it seems you put some stock in John's assessment of things. Even really uninteresting things that are pretty terrible to listen to. He is either the leader of your party, or you hold whatever the human equivalent of mating fondness is for him. And John says, yeah, I got him this really cool bunny for his birthday, and it's really nicely knitted and everything, because I'm basically in love with him. You are right. And Green says, okay. And John says, hey, just kidding. I'm sure John knows it's because I am really thoughtful, and I bet he really appreciates the present and would say thank you if he were here. And Green says, okay, human courtship is definitely a strange thing, and it's sort of blowing my mind listening to this. I think I'll talk to someone else now. And Rose says, John says, why don't you talk to John? And Green says, maybe. When along his timeline would you recommend communicating with him? And John says, man, I don't know. Why don't you pick the time we'll make the most complicated mess out of everything imaginable? You know that's what you're gonna do anyway. Green says, considering that you're obviously not that smart, and basically understand whipping bug-winged frick all about even the most elementary temporal mechanics, I am a bit perplexed as to why I find myself so vehemently fondling the short end of the antagonism stick here. Kind of irritating. I'm going to talk to your comrades, this John human, and figure out what's going on. And John says, okay, if you talk to him in the past, he'll understand even less buggy-whipped frick all about time, and he'll be confused. So maybe paste something from this conversation to him? I don't know. And if you talk to him in the future, he'll probably know all this stuff, like things you've said to him, but haven't said yet. And then you'll be confused. Sorry, that's just how this works. Don't say I didn't warn you. And Green says, consider me fully briefed on the matter. Until next time, Rose. Next time in the past. And John says, yeah, bye. And then Green stopped trolling. Green began trolling Twim Armageddons, who is yellow. And Green says, if you're not too busy still setting up the network, perhaps you could come show me how to activate the viewport? And Yellow says, I am in fact too busy still setting it up. Well, here's an idea. Press F1. And Green says, my keyboard is missing the F1 key. And Yellow says, lies. Don't bother me, I'm not in the mood. If I see one more snarl of wires kind of jutting out and being tangled or whatever, I am going to perform some sort of athletic freaking somersault off the deep end and get a call from the president or some crap. So go away. And Green says, you used to like to talk more. If I recall, I was typically the one who would solicit reprieves from your nonsense, so I don't know what happened. And Yellow says, that was before I knew we were all going to die, and no one believed me. And now look at you all believing me suddenly. Uncanny. And Green says, then why are you doing this, setting up these stations for us? And Yellow says, to get you all off my bulge about it. But I won't troll any of them personally, no way. Kinda juvenile. But you guys go knock yourselves out, okay? See the menu up top? Fiddle around with that till you open the viewport. And Green says, I did fiddle with it, to no avail. And Yellow says, if you can't figure crap out by freaking around, you don't belong near computers. Kind of like with registered sex offenders and schools. If you move to a new town, you have to go up to your neighbor's store and warn them about how stupid you are, and give them a chance to hide all their innocent technology and vandalize your house. F1 bonk. Hassle hassle. Sound, Rose and Dave, shut up and jam. Dave shows you some of his sweet gear. Wow, he is so cool. I have no desire to jam. Okay, it's just a bunch of different... Look at him wiggling around. You can get all sorts of random zooming zooms. Rose, first, be the pony. Second, follow mom. You're now the pony. You stand outside some ruins which your beloved master's mother entered recently. Outside, you find a striking scarcity of oats or greenery or anything at all that is delicious to chew on. This is as compelling a reason as any to follow her inside. Maplehoof, enter. You go in the ruins. Your clopping hooves echo throughout the cavernous and foreboding environment, but you are too stupid to be nervous. Your powerful snout detects the scent of Rose's mom. She went this way. Maplehoof follows scent. Good grief, look at all this grist. A large and terrible monster must surely have been slain here. Maplehoof, collect grist. You pick up all the grist and store it in Rose's grist cache. This is entirely too much grist of too many exotic types for such a low-level player, but you'll take it. You don't look a gift horse in the pink heart tattoo. The grist overflow is gathered by the grist gutter utility supported by Grist Torrent. It is stored and gradually redirected to other players. Maplehoof, proceed. Rose's mom stands on a small platform and disappears. You're a little nervous about transportalizing yourself. As a quadruped, grisly bisection strikes you as a very real possibility, even though you're too dumb to think of such things. John, first, be the hat. Second, find Dad. Rose stops being the pony just in time for John to start being the hat. The breeze carries you to where you need to go. You settle in front of a man in sore need of a fresh hat. He gathers the clean hat along with a shoe he found through similarly serendipitous means to replace one he lost. John, visit Rose's alchemeter. You decide to try out the code Dave Sprite gave you. John, make item. Fear no anvil. The thing is huge and costs a fortune. 500,000 pieces of build grist, garnets, diamonds, and gold, and a single piece of quartz. There's no way you can make that, let alone wield it, even with your ghost gloves. John, shrink it down. You use the alchemeter's scaling upgrade to reduce it to a more manageable and affordable size. Still pretty expensive. You make a weapon called Fear No Anvil. John, pester Dave Sprite. John says, what is this? The thing the code made. And Sprite says, really powerful hammer. And John says, how do you know? I thought you couldn't use hammers. And Dave Sprite says, I can't. Better be, though. Got it from Hephaestus. And John says, who's that? And Sprite says, really tough to kill dude. And John says, you killed him for it? And Sprite says, nope. And he says, how'd you get it then? And Sprite says, shenanigans. And John says, okay. Rose, check out Dave's computer. It seems you have a visitor. Yellow fix Tails computer? No, green. There's nothing to fix. Just gotta open the viewport. It's easy. Rose, examine laptop. Someone has been using your Pester Chum account, and you somehow doubt the culprit was this young, upright amphibian presently throwing a fit. Rose, go find John. You hurry to the door so you can catch John before he goes gallivanting off somewhere, but it seems your door is ajar. Funny, you don't remember leaving your door ajar, even though it's sort of absurd for you to take note of such a thing, considering John recently left your room. Oh well, it doesn't matter. You will now proceed through this door uneventfully. Rose, proceed through door uneventfully. You get dumped on by a bucket full of hellacious blue phlegm aneurysm gushers as a thoughtful but mischievous thank you gesture from John. Your prankster's gambit plunges to an all-time low. You cannot hope to defeat Egbert in a prank-off. He's simply the best there is. John, equip trusty rocket. Rose obviously isn't waking up anytime soon. Might as well take some time to explore and maybe stop by again later. Why, Dr. Meowgon, do you want to come along for the ride? It sure looks that way. Okay, hop aboard then. Adventure awaits. John, blast off. Where is he off to now? At least you have this little fellow to keep you company. You will name him Viceroy Bubbles von Salamancer. Dave, be the puppet. I have no idea what the heck that means. But yeah, you can kiss that obnoxious puppet goodbye. Maybe now you can get a decent night's sleep. Okay, this is the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. What is taking place here is almost certainly illegal. You're not even sure which laws are being broken, but it's probably a lot. Regulator, I think? Follow. John, explore. You're a little bothersome creature. You spy a boat on the shore of one of the islands below. You wonder who could be out here rowing in the middle of the ocean. John, investigate. Hoofprints in the sand. The mystery deepens. John, enter. Chalklich or Clocklich. There are many frightening and powerful monsters in here. John, aggress. Crazy damage bonk. You stun them with cool time powers of your awesome new hammer and then dispatch them swiftly. John, collect spoils. The good Dr. Spangler helps you gather the riches. John, proceed. There's a platform over here. I guess you'll go stand on it and oh wow, it just made you disappear. John, explore lab. Now what the heck is going on here? John, explore lab further. Now what the heck is going on in here? John, who cares? Just ride the pony already. Yes, frick yes. Heck frickin' yes. But seriously, what the heck is going on in here? John, but seriously, keep exploring. You find a sweet getup. It's almost as if it was tailor-made for you. How weird would that be? John, put it on. You equip the junior ectobiologist's lab suit. John, examine nearby station. Now what the heck is going on in here? Of course, it's obvious what's going on in here. It's another one of those 4-monitored house-shaped terminal things. Regulator, resist urge to ride bro's rocket board. You fail to resist the urge. You start thrashing up studs something uncanny brutal on your quest for mad justice, bro, and get this way rude municipality under control. Crap is basically flying off the hook. It's like crap wants nothing to do with that hook. The hook filed for divorce from that crap and is now seeking custody with the hook and the crap's 2 kids. Going to check to see if I missed the animation. If I can find it. How many years ago did that happen? Okay, right here. Nope, okay. Regulator, pop a freaking wheelie. These hops are unreal. Crap, this flagrant should be illegal. It probably is. You don't care, but you don't care. Mistress, prepare to depart for battlefield. You have traveled to Prospet's moon to board a shuttle headed for the battlefield. There you will seek the counsel of the White King. You have unwittingly been tailed by a nefarious courtyard droll from Durst. Droll, pick mistress's pocket. You pilfer the White Queen's ring. Mistress, depart. None the wiser, you board the shuttle. Next stop, Skya. You receive an incoming message from the draconian dignitary. You tell him you've got the ring. He says good. Bring it to him while he waits for an update from Hegemonic Brute, who's been tracing the king's movements down on the battlefield. He asks if you're still wearing that ridiculous outfit. He says you don't have to anymore by orders of the Sovereign Slayer. You say you'd still rather wear the outfit. He's got nothing to say about that. Clopper. He's a big boy. Additional pummeling. Dead Grandpa Smackdown. Sweet. Catch. It's too late. She's gone. You'll have to remember to deliver it later somehow. The best way to remind yourself that you're carrying a ring is to put it on your finger. Of course, that was just an imaginary transformation, since the ring doesn't work like that on humans. It was fun to pretend, though. Meanwhile, in a timeless expanse, somewhere a war-weary villain rules eternal struggle between feuding royalty. The battlefield holds little promise for the peaceful life of a simple farmer.
Villain.
Villain. Okay, I won't remember that. Villain. Sound. Rise up.